Yeah.
But also your tickets will be good for 2 days, so if you wanted to leave and grab lunch and then come back, you're more than welcome.
So it's good for tomorrow also?
Yes.
Okay. She just saying there's all these backpacks. There's lots of school kids like a field trip. It's really crowded. Or she says in a couple hours they'll be gone. But I don't want to wait a couple hours. We can go in, and then our tickets are good for today, and all day, and tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, we can walk around and stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. So it'll be 69.
Is this a touch?
Yep, you can take 27. It's relatively new, but we've been here for a little while.
69 for 3 person?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I get a zip code, please?
95336.
Here's that for you. Here are your free admission tags. These will just clip onto your collar or anywhere visible. That's just what shows us that you have
10 months old. So you
So if you do
cost
want
anything,
to
He's
come
pretty-
back later,
Прицепить надо.
we're meeting some family that's on the
yeah, and then these
Сам, ага, вот туда, чтобы видно было.
No, this is adult. And then is there an elevator or do we have to?
Тоже мне сделать.
I didn't want to have to.
have a ticket.
Он не упадет?
Прижми и все.
Everything is going to be upstairs. The core galleries is going to
Видно там, что ты мне сделала?
Удобно?
На, тут вот тут вот в изображении идет,
Да.
что я видно у меня это.
Да, да,
Все, давай, теперь тебе.
Чуть свиньи повернешь.
Нет, мне надо же показывать людям.
That's kind of about the tent, and then the screen will lift up and you'll see the app.
Давай. Ага.
It's behind glass, but you'll see it at the end.
But is it short on the hour?
Ты мне так же сделала, да? Ага. Окей.
In this theater down here at 12:15 will be an orientation.
А, это прямой, что ли?
Да,
A good overview of the repertoire.
ты можешь сейчас зайти, сделать мне это. Зайди.
Давай я
Мой.
тебе буду
No,
А,
ты зайди, да.
Okay, the only thing we want to do is we want to be at the tent at 12. It's upstairs. And then at 12:15, they do a little film down here that would be interesting too. The
Okay.
rest of the time we can just walk around and see whatever
Okay,
we want to see.
12:15. You want okay? No,
Does Igor want to text him and say we're inside and
okay, hold it for me,
Yeah.
please. Подержи, пожалуйста, вот так, просто так держи.
Чё?
you're too hot?
You not hot?
Not right now, but maybe later.
Maybe later you back here.
What are you going to do?
No,
You leaving your jacket here?
We have
A coat room?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I think I'm too cold with the t-shirt.
Okay.
It's fine. I'll take it off if it's too.
Okay.
I need your help to put this on.
Ага.
Жарковато.
Подержи. Так,
Давай я
подержи.
подержу.
Сейчас я подержи. Все, иди повешай. У меня 2 куртки.
You tell Igor there's lots of kids.
It's okay.
Yeah.
No problem. Так, дорогие друзья, приветствую вас. Мы в Филадельфии, в Музее революции. Вот. Купили билеты, на троих стоит $69. Вот здесь были вот ребятишки на экскурсии. И сейчас мы пойдем. Вот сейчас покажем.
Here, because in 20 minutes we want to see this. This is the original
Okay,
George Washington tent.
okay, we're here.
Yeah, so we go upstairs.
We're here now. Ага.
We go
Сейчас
upstairs.
пойдем на этаже.
Okay,
Okay?
good. We go right
Let's
up
go.
the stairs.
Ага. Now I will come in. We slowly go. Ага. Wow, looking at how many flags. Yeah. What is this? Black and yellow. What is flag? Behind you. Ага. Пойдем, Айгаляк. Ага. Это говорит французский, это говорит Свиден. Это Швеция, да? Свиден. Ага. Смотри, какие флаги, Айгулек. Ау. Айгулю, біз келіп сендерді музейге апардық.
Я не говори, мы же не ходим
Да?
никогда.
И некогда, и не так интересно. Это мнаксыры. А, смотри, вот эти картины, Айгулек. Посмотрите, какие картины. Ну, нет, там, наверное, уже идет.
Туда.
Мы, наверное, уже не сможем туда. Ага. Сколько стоит?
Билет.
$60.
Ты чё?
На троих. Ничего это не стоит, а? Окей.
On July 9,
Okay.
1776,
Okay.
just hours after the Declaration of Independence is first read
Чуть попозже.
in New York, a crowd gathers around the statue of
Wow,
King
wow.
George III.
Va. Камень. Нет.
their lands. The ministry believes the most efficient and economical strategy for managing the situation is to station troops in America and create a boundary between Indian and colonial lands.
So the colonists, understandably not happy with the presence of these British soldiers. Imagine if you went out to the streets today and saw the army there, that would be a little intimidating. Not right. So that's what the colonists are upset about. So they kind of start harassing the
At the
soldiers.
commencement of the war between you and the French, you asked for our assistance. You told us often that if we took up the action against the French, that you would move them off our lands and restore them to us. It was also promised.
But after the French defeat, British colonial settlers began pouring into Indian lands. Native Americans, numerous, militarily powerful, and indispensable as trade partners, flamed into rebellion. They made peace after Britain agreed to protect their lands. English colonists, having helped to defeat the French, view Indian lands as their spoils of war. But to quell the Indian rebellion, Britain's proclamation of 1763 sets a western boundary on settlement to be policed by British troops. Many colonists are skeptical.
I can never look upon that proclamation in any other light than as a temporary
So that happens in December of 1773. If you want, you can smell the kind of thing they dump in the harbor here. It's called the CT. It's very smoky.
The war with France was both a fight to secure land for the British Empire and a struggle to
Once you get
preserve
a turn,
British
you come over
military.
to this side of the gallery.
Colonists
Go ahead against that wall. You take a seat on the bench. Over here, guys. Put your glass pins over here. All right. All right. So as we get the rest of our group over here. All right. So in today's money, the colonists are going to destroy about $2 million with the Boston Tea Party. So the Brit, well, I mean, people do feel like that. So a lot of these protests are being organized by a group called the Sons of Liberty. That's after Liberty again. So because of this, big financial loss, the British government feels the colonies need to be punished for this. Massachusetts, and they punish them in a series of laws that have a degree depending upon where you live. In England, they're called the coercive acts. Over here in America, they're called the intolerable acts. Now let's talk about a couple things that they do. You see this British political parchment over here? You can see soldiers standing by the waterfront here. That's because it's punishment for the Boston Tea Party. The port of Boston will be closed to all but the British Army, basically, until the Bostonians repay for this destroyed tea. Ultimately, what's going to happen, though, remember I said they have their own governing bodies, their elected officials too, so the one in Massachusetts is going to be dissolved, and the Army is going to be put in charge instead. So this all started because their right to no taxation without representation has been violated. Now the right to colonial assault rules being violated. Arguably intolerable, hence why the Americans call it the Intolerable Acts. So the colonists meet here in Philadelphia to decide how they're going to respond to these new laws. And they meet not in Independence Hall. You guys visited Independence Hall before? Did you walk by? You were familiar with Independence Hall? So Independence Hall, which is just a few blocks from the museum here, is famous because that's where this meeting, so we're listening, let me get everyone's attention. Independence Hall is where the Second Continental Congress meets, okay? And they're important because they're the ones who issued the Declaration of Independence. They run the country during the Revolutionary War. But before the second one happens, the first one has to happen, right? And the first one happens at a place called Carpenter's Hall, also a few blocks here from the museum. And why are they important? Well, they're going to kind of set the stage for the outbreak of the war. Now, what did they decide at this first Continental Congress? Well, they're going to talk about more boycotting of British oil. They're also going to stop authorize the stockpiling of military stuff. Because if you look at the famous quote there, the colonists feel that defending their British liberties are that important that they need to make money on the battle. And so, remember I said the Army is in charge of Massachusetts now. Well, they're
Surgeon Sorrow. Second.
Even though the second continental
А, мушкет. Мушкет 1756 год. Смотрите, какой тяжелый, большой мушкет. Это шпага.
Follow me over here. So we're going to kind of gather around this centerpiece here. Get everybody in here?
Третий номер.
So everything that you see on display here is what we call a witness object. That means
Powder
they're present on the
horn.
day of the battle.
Как
So
бы
what battles are we talking about?
вот
April
он, рог.
19, 1775, the battles of Lexington,
1775
Concord,
год.
the outbreak of the war. Now, how did they come to pass?
Ничего себе.
Well, remember we
А
mentioned our friend Paul Revere earlier? Why is
он
Paul
что
Revere
сделан
famous?
действительно из это?
You guys know why
Из
Paul Revere
костюга?
is? You ever hear the poem about his famous midnight ride? So, well, I'm kind of glad you haven't, because
This
Paul
is
Revere is very
for-
important to the revolution, but there are going to be many people, if you look at the map over here, Boston's on the far right, Concord is on the far left. When these military supplies are being held, I'll take your question in 1 second. A number of people are going to go from Boston to Concord and raise the alarm that General Gage has sent British soldiers out to seize these supplies. So Paul Revere gets all the credit for that, but many people were involved in this. And good thing there were many people, because he was actually captured during his midnight ride. Do you want to ask a question? Paul Revere. Yeah, yes, very good. Yeah, so that's where that phrase, the British are coming are coming from. But it's notable though that Paul Revere, even though that phrase kind of gets attributed to him kind of because of this poem, at the time we still consider ourselves British, so he probably would have said the British are coming. He probably would have said something like the regulars are coming. And what does that mean? You see the British regulars here are the regular part of the army. That's, so yeah, that's the regulars are professional soldiers, the regular part of the army. Now, what happens once these riders like Paul Revere are raising the alarm that these soldiers have been sent out to Concord to seize these supplies? Not only do people living in
Библия. Библия в 1755 году. И они там на Библии, вот он писал заметки его личные.
Who's a teenager when the war breaks out? When the first shots of the war are fired. Okay, yeah, so that's right now. April 19, 1775. Now, who on their part is a member of the militia? Some people are members of the Continental Army, some are members of the militia, some are both, okay? Now, let's talk about the militia here for a second. So the militia are basically the home guard. And so if you lived in the colonies, all except Pennsylvania, because Pennsylvania is started by William Penn, one of the but if you were in any of the other colonies, you would have to serve in the militia. If you were a teenage boy, basically a man about in your 60s, if you were able-bodied, you had to be part of this home guard. And so how do we what's the distinction between the professional soldiers and the militia? Is that militia are not professionals. But because they all live around Concord, what they're going to do is they're going to outnumber the professional soldiers that are sent to Boston. So that's how they're going to actually get one up on it. Basically, not only will the soldiers not capture any supplies in Concord, they'll be chased back to Boston eventually by the local militia. Where the Continental Army will force them out in the following March of 1776. So let's talk about the Continental Army. Go ahead and gather around here. Okay. All right. Now let me get everyone's attention. Let's just kind of encapsulate what we want over here. All right. So the British regulars are not successful when they go out to Concord to seize these supplies. And now you're having the aftermath of the battles in Lexington and Concord. You have about 10,000 British professional soldiers in Boston,
Заблокировали
being
вот
surrounded by
здесь.
about 15,000 local militia. Okay. And what is the Continental Congress going to do, guys? What is the Continental Congress going to do with this local militia? They're going to turn them into this Continental Army. Now, why Continental Army? Well, because they want the other colonies to stand in solidarity with Massachusetts in defending their British liberties on the battlefield. So let's take a look at what's going on here. There's a fight going on, yes? And do you recognize the figure in the middle here? Who's that look like? Yeah, that's George Washington. So by the summer of 1775, Washington is going to take command of this Continental Army, not a New Englander
Rifle.
Army. And you know, part of the reason why he's given the job is because he's from Virginia. Okay, so he's not from New England, he's not from the North, he's from the South. Now, by the winter of 1775, reinforcements from other parts of British North America arrived to reinforce his army. You got a question? Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good observation, and we're coming to that. Okay, so let's talk about where all these figures are from. So you see these figures on the left-hand side, your left-hand side, Washington's right. They represent the New Englanders. They're dressed as farmers, merchants, artisans. They're fighting against these guys in these white fringe shirts who are from places like Virginia, specifically from the frontier of Virginia. Now, why is this black guy fighting? This black guy is dressed like a sailor. There are a group of soldiers from New England called the Marblehead Regiment, and so they were sailors in their everyday life, so that's how many festivals and things. Now, some Northern regiments are made up of all three, black, white soldiers, and the others, okay? That's what we have to do. This is a replica of the statue they came down. What I want you to look at is what's in the box. This is really cool. The statue came down to New York, but the daughters of the British Connecticut took the statue, melted it down, and made mustard balls. In effect, King George's statue was shooting at his soldiers. You see where the balls, you see the mold, the melting of it. So now we're going to go into New York. I want you to take a look at the side of the sound. And these are 30,000 troops arriving in New York. This would have been very scary. When you woke up in the morning, it was a fresh thousand soldiers right outside of the shore. How would you feel? Yeah, terrible, right? These guys never leave. I mean, they go, they fight, some are killed. But New York becomes a headquarters, right, for the British, and they get there in 76. Even before King George was had to go to Washington,
The Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Okay. Let me get everyone's attention. So why is the gold going to shift to independence in 1776? Well, there's a couple things that happen. You see this guy over here? His name is Thomas Paine. He writes a little book called Common Sense. If you haven't read it, you will probably get somebody in school. What you need to know about Common Sense is today's terms to kind of go viral. People from all over the colonies read it, and it basically the idea that it has more mainstream idea. There's something else. After this fighting has broken out around Boston, the Continental Congress directly to New York asking him to
Ничего себе. Получается, это ростом солдата. Ох, они это тащили несколько километров. еще воевали с этим. Ужас. Пистос. Что тут у нас?
So this is William Burke. I want you to take a look at him. Who's he fighting for? Yeah, how do you know? The right coat, right. Okay, so does he look prepared? Yeah, well trained. Yeah. This guy's never fought in his life. The only thing he knows is the guns have been used for hunting. So he says, there I saw the first gun that I ever saw discharged and me. The first time he was at war, the guns were shot to kill the others inside. William Burke got his Ireland connections with the British. He's completely outfitted. He's got a carbon box, he's got his musket with the bayonet, and he's got hours. Not yet.
Это ядро из железа. Айрон. Почти больше, чем мой кулак в 2 раза. Шпага.
And we're going into
Very powerful woman in any unit.
we've only been fighting for a year.
Let's move on because it's not just grit and
He's just a chill guy.
So, Hessian soldiers come from Germany. The King George III is not British by heritage, he's actually German.
So what
They have more
I want you
cousins on
to
the
follow
wall
me and look at this
rent
map.
out their army. The Hessians, if you were a Hessian soldier, it's because you couldn't get any other job. You couldn't get a trade or anything else. This was your last resort. About half of the Hessians are going to defect, desert the army, and settle in the North American colonies. During this time, Germany is very much still very fractured, still very feudal, and there's a lot of religious wars between Catholics and Protestants. You guys are going to get here and say,